It's Friday, December 4th, 2020. I'm Greg Nibbler, and this is Two Box Live. And hello, everyone. Yes, this is Two Box Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. We do appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button. Two Box Media, TWO, Box Media. Whatever platform you're watching on, you can share the show, let other people know about it. And then you get notifications when we do go live or whether you're watching it afterward, wherever it is. We just appreciate you being here. So we've got a lot on today's show. A lot to talk about with entertainment. We have Erin Keeney, our entertainment reporter, who's going to be joining us here. She's going to be our correspondent today. She knows everything about entertainment. So she's going to be talking about that, movies, television shows. All of that's coming up on today's episode. Plus, of course, the news. But I need to get started with some news here to start off the show. That's what we always do with this. And we're going straight to entertainment. And it's probably one of the biggest stories that came out yesterday. It's continuing on today. Huge change up in how we get our movies. And it has to do with HBO. In particular, Warner Media, an announcement they made that they plan to, for their entire slate of 2021 movies, to release them all simultaneously in the theaters, but also on HBO Max, their streaming service, which launched earlier this year. This is a big change up. If you think about it, so far this year, we've seen a couple of movies experiment with this, with theaters being closed. You had the Trolls World Tour, which came out on pay-per-view and in whatever theaters were open in April. And there was a lot of pushback from movie theater chains about this. You had Universal who did this, and then you had AMC, who was very upset, and all the major movie theater chains, but nonetheless, they did it. You also had Mulan, which came out on Disney Plus, although it was a pay-per-view there as well, so you'd have to pay extra to get that. Now that's actually free, by the way, if you haven't seen the live version of Mulan. But this one with this push to put it onto HBO Max is certainly one of the biggest things that we've seen, not only with movies, but also with streaming services. And that's kind of the thing I wanted to focus on. These streaming television wars, I don't know how many of you out there have subscribed to HBO Max. I did. I was actually planning on dropping it. I'll be honest myself. Now I'm going to keep it because there are 17 movies, and that includes movies like Matrix 4. In case you didn't know, Matrix 4 is coming out this coming year. You have Dune, which is going to be coming out, and Wonder Woman alone on Christmas Day, but they're all going to be there for HBO Max. So if you already have the service, you can watch them on there. It's a huge development. So that is what's happening with that. We'll have to see if other streaming services follow along with that. Will Disney Plus go that way? I certainly would be an advocate to get the Marvel movies immediately. That would be great instead of keep pushing them back and not putting them out at all. There's several of those that should have been out by now, but hopefully we'll see that. I don't know. Disney hasn't made any motion of that, but we'll have to see how this works for HBO, in particular with the pushback coming back from the movie theater chains. Is this going to be successful? Right now, you can sign up for HBO Max for, I think it's $12.99 a month for a special. So basically less than what you would pay for a regular movie theater ticket. That's a pretty good deal. I got to be honest. So let us know in the comments what you think about that. Is this something that's going to make you go out and get HBO Max now that you know this? I mean, Dune alone would be one that would have done it for, let alone all these other movies that are coming out this year. So HBO Max making that push, big announcement in entertainment. We're going to cover that a lot more coming up here in about 10 minutes or so when Erin joins us. She has a lot more inside knowledge about this and just how that changes up the industry and some other things that are going on in entertainment. So coming up in just a bit, but there it is. HBO Max going to release those movies in 2021. Continuing on here with some trending news. That's what we like to keep you up to date, things that are going to affect you. And this is something that is a big push when it comes to alternative meat. All right, we're all familiar with Beyond Meat, with Impossible Burger, and all the different variations that come out from those two companies. And those are all plant-based meats. But now we've got, for the first time ever, a regulatory approval for lab-grown meat. And we're talking about chicken nuggets. That's where it's come. Sweet, delicious chicken nuggets. So this is going to be coming from the Singapore Food Agency. They're the ones who approved this. So it's first going to be in Singapore. But the company itself that is making the lab-grown meat is from the U.S. They're called Just Eat. And this is what they're coming out with first. It's chicken. They're going to call them chicken bites, but they're chicken nuggets, let's be honest. And it's a pretty unique way that they're going about this. We know there's all kinds of issues. There's a lot of people who look at it not just from a vegetarian standpoint that they don't want to eat meat, but also the environmental factor. And that's probably what this can kind of go towards. People who are concerned about that, the meat industry and the impacts that it has on that. Well, this is all grown in a lab. Here's how it works. So they take actually cells from, they said, high-class poultry. So high class isn't technically their word, but I like using that, high-class poultry. But you know, good poultry. So good chickens. They'll take that. They'll take these cells. They'll take them to their lab, and what they'll do is they feed them amino acids and different things to grow them. They put them in a bioreactor, and they actually grow just the meat. So it's not the animal, just the meat. It really is like something out of science fiction, lab-grown meat. They take that, they put it into whatever they want, and then send it out. So this is a big moment when it comes to this because of the fact this is the first place in the world that has regulatory approval. There's a lot of companies working on this. There's different kinds with beef. This company's even working on beef, and other companies are as well, even fish, lab-grown types of meat. It's going to be a while before it's approved in the United States. It sounds like, just because of the regulations they'd have to go through, but still the first place that's going to be doing it. So Singapore will have this lab-grown meats. Pretty interesting development there. Let us know what you think about that. Continuing on, trending news. Things you should be aware of. Do you have any Amazon smart home assistants, or perhaps some Ring spotlights, or Ring doorbells, or a Tile? If you have any of those things, you should be aware of what's going to be happening with Amazon. This is going to be rolling out anywhere between now and the end of the year, and it's called Amazon Sidewalk. This is not a new announcement, but the announcement is that it's starting to roll out now. But in case you're wondering, what is Amazon Sidewalk? That's a good question. Let me tell you. So this is their idea. This is Amazon's idea of utilizing all of these different devices to create a mesh Wi-Fi network for your neighborhood. So imagine, say you've got a spotlight camera that's on the edge of your property. It's kind of just outside of your Wi-Fi range, or it's spotty. What it would be doing is actually tapping in to your neighbor's Wi-Fi if they also have a compatible device. So this will turn each one of these devices using Bluetooth or very low-end frequencies to use just a tiny smidgen of your Wi-Fi and send that out to other devices so that they can utilize it to essentially stay on at all times. There's a couple of benefits from it. That's one of them. So if you're maybe it's on the edge of your property where you don't have any Wi-Fi now, you'll be able to use your neighbors if they agree with it as well. And the thing is, you don't actually have to agree. It's going to automatically go on. So that's why this is a thing that you should be aware of. This will automatically turn on. You have to go into your settings to turn it off if you don't want to use it. A couple other advantages they mentioned is, I mentioned Tile. You know, Tile, if you lose your keys, like I do a lot, this would expand that range on where you could locate them. So if you're tied in with a neighborhood network of these, you would be able to say, hey, it's 2 blocks down the street. Or say if you have, there's different things for dogs as well that would work along with this. So maybe you could find your pet quicker because it's tied into that network. You could locate them a lot better. Concerns are security. And that's where Amazon said it's going to be triple encrypted. So the idea that you can get into something, they said it's not going to have any identifying things when it's sharing this information, but nonetheless, you are sharing your Wi-Fi. They said it's about 1/40th of the power of your Wi-Fi and up to 500 megabytes, which may seem like a lot, but it's really not that much over the course of using this. But at the same time, security will be a concern. They said they've got it covered. But if you don't want to do it, if you don't want to opt into this, you need to go into your settings. So you'll be getting a notification from Amazon in your email saying, hey, this is going to be turning on. There's also, they've got a list of the devices that work with it, and it goes back quite a ways. So that is something you should be aware of. If you don't want to be part of it, you're going to have to opt out of it. It's in your Alexa app. You just hit a button, but nonetheless, Amazon Sidewalk rolling out soon. All right, continuing on with some things you should know about. It is going to be a big next few days for SpaceX, which it always kind of is, but in particular, there's 2 different launches that are going to be happening in the next couple of days. Let's go to the first one, and we've been talking about this. We thought maybe it was going to happen earlier this week. It did not, and has to do with the SpaceX Starship, the SN8 prototype. Starship is the one that's eventually going to take people to Mars. This is how Elon Musk wants to make his Musk City on Mars. He wants to take them all there in starships. But we're not there yet. Right now we're in the testing phase, and this is the SN8, so the 8th version of this line. The big test, though, is that they are going to send this thing up to 50,000 feet into the atmosphere. That is by far the furthest they have gone up so far. And once it gets up there, the idea is it then falls onto its side and then kind of coasts back down to the Earth before going back upright and landing again. That's how it would work ideally. Now, it's only a 30% chance of success on this, according to Elon Musk, so we could be seeing an explosion. But regardless, they're going to be live streaming this launch. We just don't know when. They haven't given us the exact time. Again, thought maybe it was going to happen Wednesday. Probably it'll happen within the next couple of days. They'll give notification. We'll retweet it at 2Box Media. So again, TWO, Box Media. Follow us on online, and we'll let you know when this is going out. We'll make the notification. You can watch it there as well when they do make this announcement, but so far we don't know when. Nonetheless, could be happening over the next couple of days. Something to watch. Another thing to watch is another Crew Dragon launch. This time, though, they're not setting people up. It's a cargo version. So they've already done this a couple of times, sending astronauts to the International Space Station, but this is a remodeled Crew Dragon capsule for Crew Dragon cargo. So what they did is it's essentially the same thing as the Crew one, although they stripped it out inside of seats, of course. It has no windows, and it doesn't have the escape version where you can actually pop out and escape if something goes wrong. They don't have that for the cargo. This launch, though, will be going up. Ideally, they said tomorrow will be Saturday, depending on when you're watching this. Saturday, December 5th is when they're shooting for, 8:39 Pacific time. Those times can change sometimes, but it's going to be setting cargo up. A number of experiments to kind of see how space affects people, whether it's they've got some for white blood cells, for different ways that zero gravity can affect the brain. So for the astronauts and a lot of things going on with that. But it's a pretty cool cargo system that they're setting up. First time doing that. So you can follow along with that launch as well. And again, that'll be happening on December 5th, ideally. A couple of big things there with SpaceX. Rocket launches are always fun. All right, final thing I have here, and then we're going to take a break. We're going to get Aaron Keeney joining us. This is something to pass your time today, and it's actually pretty cool. Some of you may remember Bird World. Not because it was an actual video game. It was a fake video game, but the soundtrack was real, and we have a sequel to it now. Back in 2017, so this artist, Leon Chang, came out with the original Bird World soundtrack. Again, not a game, but imagine it as kind of an SNES, old school Nintendo classic kind of game where you play a bird going through a world and various adventures follow, like all of those games did. Well, Leon is a big fan of, and I may be mispronouncing the name, so I apologize on that, but a big fan of video games and likes to create music around that. And so imagined this entire game and created a whole soundtrack for it. And it's honestly, it's pretty brilliant. The first one is pretty brilliant, and the second one sounds just as good. And it just released today. It's Return to Bird World, where the imagining is that it's been several centuries or thousands of years, and it's a different landscape. And if you listen to the music, you can almost perfectly picture what the game would be like. And that's why it's so much fun. If you've played those games, you know what the music setting does for those and how important that is. You can imagine this game even though it doesn't exist. Although there is a 28-page manual describing the game, the imaginary game, that you can get if you purchase the soundtrack from the Bandcamp page. So I highly recommend it. There's also artwork that comes along with it. It's pretty cool. It's normally not something that I would listen to. I don't listen to a lot of video game soundtracks. This one, I don't know. It's really soothing. It's pretty good. And it's going to be coming out on Spotify as well, so you can listen to it there. But definitely check that out. Return to Bird World. All right. We need to take a quick break, and we're going to bring Aaron on here to talk about entertainment. We'll cover some more of that HBO Max side of things, but there's a lot of other stuff happening. New movies coming out. She's seen them. She's going to give us her opinions on them, so that's all coming up next. So stick around. Back here in a minute with more 2Box Live. And we are back with more Two Box Live. Thank you for following us. Hit subscribe. If you're watching, whenever you're watching, hit subscribe, share the show, let other people know about it. We are really excited to be bringing this to you, kind of brand new, and we've got a lot of things that we're covering and a lot of exciting things on the way. So thank you for being here with us. Appreciate it a lot. But now it's time to talk about some entertainment news, and I am very, very excited to have a correspondent here joining us right now. We've got Aaron Keeney joining us to talk about what's going on in entertainment. Aaron, number one, it is so good to see you again. And hello, and I hope everything's going well. And I'm excited to talk about movies with you. Where do you want to start off?
Hello, good to see you too. I'm excited to be here. So I do want to start off with, there's been a lot of reshuffling with some of these big awards. So the Golden Globes, first of all, that's such a fun one. That one has been moved from January to February 28th. And then the BAFTAs, you know, the British Academy Film and Television Awards, they just moved that in February to April 11th. And then we're going to have to wait for the big one, you know, the 93rd Annual Academy Awards. That one has been moved 2 months from the end of February to April 20th. We get a little more time to kind of watch some of these nominees and get ready for the award shows, but we're just going to have to wait a little bit longer for the big ones. But Greg, there is one award show that I love. It is the IFP, that's the Independent Filmmaker Projects ceremony, and it's the Gotham Awards. So these take place in New York. Moved from this month to January 11th. So it's going to be a hybrid of in-person and online. And the IFP Gotham Awards are awesome because they are really the first big award show, and they really kick off award season and shine the spotlight on some of these really worthy independent films. And so some of the big news here that they just announced this week at this show, they're going to honor Viola Davis, the late Chadwick Boseman, in this year's annual actor tribute. So that's going to be really great. We certainly all miss Chadwick Boseman, and much deserved. Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman are also both nominated for their new Netflix film, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. So they're both getting Best Actor nods for that, and that's Boseman's last film. But they're also going to do this wonderful tribute to Chadwick Boseman. So that's something to look forward to. January 11th. That's going to be live streamed at the Gotham Awards.
That's great that they're live streaming it. I mean, that's still, it still hits me every time I think about that Chadwick Boseman passed away. Just one more thing for 2020. But yeah, I mean, the last film coming out there. So that sounds really great. And it's interesting to see how these organizations are handling all this, you know, with everything being shifted and changed. Like you said, it gives more time to watch the movies. And next year, it sounds like we're going to have a lot easier way to watch some of these movies with the HBO Max deal. I'm fascinated by this move that they made.
Entertainment news heard around the world, I will say. Try not to be too hyperbolic. This was a big announcement. So as you heard, you know, a sweeping response to the pandemic right now. Warner Brothers announced they will send its entire 2021 slate to its streaming, which is HBO Max, on the same day that it premieres in the theaters. So it's going to be available to stream for 31 days, and also available in the theaters. So, Greg, we're talking about 17 big films here that are going to be available to stream here. Films like The Matrix 4.
Some huge ones.
Right, Matrix 4. We've also Godzilla versus Godzilla versus Kong, Suicide Squad, and Lin-Manuel Miranda's In the Heights, the adaptation from the Broadway show that was pushed from last summer, if you remember. So audiences are going to get to see, to stream that right away. A couple of weeks ago, Warner Brothers announced Wonder Woman 1984 would be doing this. They were going to go to HBO Max and be in theaters. So we got that. Okay, make the adjustments. But this new news is something much, much bigger. So they're in some pretty intense talks right now, safe to say. AMC and Warner Brothers, they're talking about this and trying to figure out how this is going to work for 2021. What are your thoughts?
Well, I like it just because of the fact that you're going to get access to these. It's been frustrating, I mean, for a million reasons, but if we just look at the entertainment movie side for this last year, I miss seeing some of these new films come out and a lot of these that have just been pushed back. So I like that idea. I wonder how that's going to work in the long term, though. And that's what I was interested on your opinion about this. Like, do you think long term this is a good idea when it comes to theaters and movies, or is this going to kind of eat itself because of revenue issues and it's not sustainable?
Well, that's a good question. So Warner Brothers says right now, our 1 year plan. This is a pandemic plan only for 1 year. The question that I have is, once you kind of dismantle, the structure that we've had in place for decades, are you going to be able to put that back together? Once people are getting used to seeing these films from the comfort of their living rooms, are you going to be able to put that back? Say 2022, 2023, are people going to shift? And those box office numbers are going to come back to normal. Personally, I don't see that happening just from, responses from fans. A lot of people say movies are getting so expensive. There's crowds. People probably don't want to go still. They're going to be hesitant to go back to a crowded movie theater, I think, for a long time. So we're just going to have to see.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, once people get used to this for a year, are they going to be willing to go back, let alone pandemic side, which that's going to be a while before I'm comfortable going into a theater. But I mean, right. Once you get used to that at the home, I don't know. That's hard to change. I'll be curious to see if Disney trying to kind of follow suit with any. I know they did Mulan like that. Yeah. I would love to see the Marvel movies right now. So I would pay extra to see all of them. Yes. You'll get my money.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Mulan too, you mentioned that one. Mulan is now on Disney Plus. That's going to be streaming for free. So Mulan came out a couple of months ago. Now it's free, so you can watch Mulan on Disney Plus as well. But yeah, it's just going to be interesting to see a lot of changing. I don't want to be in those positions. I wouldn't want to be in these meetings to try to decide what the plan is.
No.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Yeah, that's quite intense. So we've got that with HBO Max, a lot to see how that all shakes out. But there are some other things that are coming out now. 'Tis the holiday season. I know there's a couple of movies out that you have had a chance to take a look at.
Of course, there are so many classic holiday movies that we all like to go back to, but I saw these two. These are both on Disney Plus. So this first one comes out this weekend, and it's called Godmothered. This is really just a fun one. It's a cute one. It's not going to change your life or anything, but it's a sweet, kind of cozy movie that you can watch with kids. I watched this with my 11-year-old niece, who instantly said, I got to tell everybody about this movie. So she really loved it. It's really sweet. Jillian Bell stars as this fairy godmother in training. Jillian Bell from Workaholics. She's really funny. So she's this fairy godmother in training. And so they're at the training center led by Jane Curtin, who I love, SNL alum Jane Curtin. And she's telling them, you're going to have to look for some more work because there's no work for fairy godmothers. They're looking for new jobs. She might have to become a tooth fairy, but she is determined to keep this fairy godmother role, and she just knows that there is a need for this. So she responds to this letter from a young girl played by Isla Fisher, this woman, Mackenzie. But when she gets back to find her, she realizes she's no longer 10. She's a grown adult, a single mom, works at a local TV station. So Eleanor, the fairy godmother, works to bring her a happily ever after. So it's really funny and sweet. And what I like about it too is that it dismantles the whole fairy tale idea, which Disney has supported for so many years. There's no Prince Charming. It kind of gives you a different idea of what happily ever after is, and happiness and love, and like the modern take on this film. So it's just a fun one, a sweet one to check out. Disney Plus. This comes out today. So that's the first one.
With Jillian Bell. That'll get me. Yeah. Okay, so that's the first one, Godmother, Disney Plus. And then what's the next one?
I'm going to take a quick... I'm so sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, go for it. And by the way, thank you, everybody, for joining us, too. I want to give a shout out to everybody who's watching live and appreciate that here with the new show with Two Box Live. Thank you so much.
So sorry. Okay. So the second film is Disney Pixar's movie Soul. I've been waiting a long time for this one. You have to wait until December 25th to check it out. Have you heard of Soul? Do you know this one, this Pixar film?
I've seen that it's out, but I don't know much about it.
Okay. It is.
We're both trading drinks.
Yeah, it is highly recommended for me. It's kind of a short parable about life. So it's a movie about jazz. It's about aging. It's about, really the meaning of life. So in the film, we follow this middle school band teacher, played by Jamie Foxx, voiced by Jamie Foxx. And he has this passion, just to be a jazz musician. And he gets this chance of a lifetime to play at the best club in town. And when he gets the news, he's running home, and a little misstep lands him in this whole other realm. So it's not the great beyond, but it's the great before. So he ends up in this realm, the great before, where this is where the souls start, and they get their personalities and find their passions before they send them back down to earth. So Joe, the middle school teacher, teams up with this precocious young soul named 22, voiced by Tina Fey. And this soul is just like, I do not get it. Why does everyone want the human experience? So she doesn't want to go down to earth. Teaching 22 about what is so great about questions, about what it means to have. So this is great. It reminds me a little bit of Teens Inside Out. Do you remember that one with the emotion? They talked about different emotions. That one, this one,
yes,
cerebral. It'll get you, Greg. It's going to get you about the meaning of life. Our soul and what we're all doing here. So I highly recommend it. And I wanted to add for Soul, because I know you're a music lover. It's about Nine Inch Nails did the score for this film. So wow. Nine Inch Nails, Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, they've been in the movie and television industry for over a decade now, award winners. They have won an Emmy for HBO's Watchmen, a Grammy for Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and then they won an Oscar, if you remember, for Best Original Score for The Social Network back in 2010. So they're just a Tony EGOT winners, getting the whole thing. So you get to hear some 90s music as well.
Yeah, if that wasn't enough, that would sell me on it, just that alone, that I will watch it for that. So that's sold, and that is out as well. And then any other thing that you think that people should watch or that you're watching right now?
So I'm watching a couple of things. I'm still finishing The Crown, season 4 of The Crown, on Netflix. That's season 4. I have 2 left. I try to pace my. We get them once a year. So I'm in the Princess Diana years. The years I remember watching, and her and Harry. Greg, I have an interesting show too. It's Call My Agent on Netflix. It's a French show. Call My Agent. It is hilarious. There are 3 seasons so far. They're about to drop season 4 on Netflix, but it's called Call My Agent. So funny. They follow these really, really interesting entertainment agents in Paris, and kind of all the debacles they get into working with their clients, and it talks about their personal life. I highly recommend this show. This is one of my new favorites in the last couple of years. So it's called Call My Agent on Netflix. Those are the 2. What about you? What are you watching?
I'm watching a lot of, along the lines, I guess, kind of British stuff. I'm watching Turn because it's on Netflix now. It's one about Washington's spies. Yeah. It's already finished, but there's 4 seasons on there. Yeah. Super nerdy, but I got really addicted to it. So watching that one, watching The Barbarians, which apparently I'm watching a lot of war movies. The Barbarians, which is the series about it's ancient Rome, the Romans invading the Germanic tribes, and it's in German and Italian, but it's pretty fun. And then to go super nerd, I'm watching the Alien Worlds, one that just came out on Netflix. It's imagining aliens on other worlds, and it's so dorky, but I'm all into it.
Embrace the dorky, watch what you like.
Yeah, you have to. Well, Erin, I want to let everybody know too, and have you let everybody know, where can they follow you for all of this insight and knowledge that you have about everything?
So right now, you can just go to Instagram. It's Erin. My handle is Erin Marie Keeney. Go on Instagram right now, and then I will lead you to other places. But that's the first place to start. Erin Marie Keeney on Instagram. You can follow me there.
Erin Marie Keeney.
Yep.
Follow her on Instagram. She knows all of this stuff. And Erin, thank you so much for joining us here. Really, really appreciate it. And seeing you and talking to you and you taking some time to join us here on the show. Thank you so much, Erin.
Great to be here. Thanks, Greg. Talk to you soon.
Yep, absolutely. Erin Keeney right here on 2 Box Live. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. So again, I know we're a newer show, but we've got so much to bring you, and that's why I appreciate everybody following along for 2 Box Media, TWO Box Media. Whenever, however, wherever you're watching, please find us on whatever your favorite social media platform is, and hit subscribe on there and join the show, because we'll be live every Monday and Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, where we'll go live. We've got great guests coming up next week. We've got some really great guests. We've got some things that we've already filmed that we're going to be sharing with you. We've got always live news at the top of the show. We've got so much on the way, and we're just so excited to have you here to be part of it. And so I really, really want to say thank you for doing that. Don't forget, SpaceX, 2 different launches coming up over this weekend. So follow us, and we'll let you know when those are going on. Again, the one of them is supposed to be happening on Saturday around 8:40 a.m. Pacific. That could tend to shift, but the other one could happen anytime. Yeah, the test launch could happen anytime, and if you have your notifications on, we'll let you know when that does happen. So thank you, everybody. For myself, again, I'm Greg Nibler. I appreciate you, Jess Serba, Mike Solis. We appreciate all of you watching. Hit subscribe, and we will talk to you on Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific with another edition of 2 Box Live.